Hello friends, welcome to Wow IAS. Welcome to the discussion on daily MCQ. Today is 30 July 2021 and now we are going to discuss 5 current affair based MCQs. तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं. But first let us discuss the question that was asked yesterday, and yesterday's question was which one of the following wars ended with the Treaty of Madras, and some of you have given the correct answer as well. Yesterday it was Abzur Qureshi and Divya Vasisht who gave the correct answer. Now let's discuss this question. So this Treaty of Madras actually is the treaty which was signed between Hyder Ali and English after the first Mysore War. So option B is the correct answer. So it was after the first Mysore War that this Treaty of Madras was signed. Then what about the second Mysore War? The treaty which was signed after the second Mysore War is called as the Treaty of Mangalore. And this Treaty of Mangalore was signed between the British and Tipu Sultan, because by that time his father Hyder Ali has died. And now what about Carnatic Wars? So we have actually Carnatic Wars which was fought between the British and the French. We have 3 Carnatic Wars. The first Carnatic War was fought between 1746 and 1748. The second Carnatic War fought between 1749 and 54. And the third Carnatic War was fought between 1756 and 63. And the treaty which was formed, or you can say the treaty which was signed between the British and the French after the first Carnatic War is called as the Paris Treaty. It is a Paris Treaty. It is also known as Aix-la-Chapelle Treaty. And after the second Carnatic War, another treaty was signed. And that treaty is called the Pondicherry Treaty. The Treaty of Pondicherry. Okay. So these are the important things that we need to know regarding the Carnatic Wars. And yeah, another important thing is that even after the third Carnatic War also, the Treaty of Paris was signed between the British and the French. Right. Now let's move on. And guys, daily we upload 5 current affair based MCQs and their solutions in this PDF format. So make the best use of this. We even upload the current affairs in a summarized way, which will be uploaded in the Telegram channel daily morning. So make your preparation easy using these summaries and gain maximum advantage out of this. Now let's begin. The first question. The RATS, the Regional Anti-Terror Structure, was in news recently. It is associated to which agency? A. NATO, B. Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO, C. World Economic Forum, and D. BRICS. You have to choose the correct answer. So the RATS was in news lately. This was because this RATS actually belong to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Okay, it's an anti-terror, it's an organization which is formed between Russia, China, India, Pakistan, the Middle East countries. Not Middle East countries, sorry. It is the Central Asian countries. Okay, so it is a grouping. It's a defense grouping, you can say. Okay, so recently the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Defense Ministers meeting took place in Dushanbe in Tajikistan. So that's why this was news. The Defense Minister of India addressed the grouping and said India is committed to work within the SCO framework to help and maintain a secure and peaceful region. So that's why this was news. So if you see the members, there are 8 members. Who are the 8 members? India, Kazakhstan, China, the Kyrgyz Republic, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. So remember, out of the 5 Central Asian countries, the Central Asian country which is not part of this is actually Turkmenistan. Okay, so Turkmenistan is not part of this group, remember this. Okay, so this SCO basically it is seen as a counterweight to NATO and it's an 8-member economic and security bloc. It's an economic and security bloc that has emerged as one of the largest trans-regional international organization. And the headquarters of SCO is in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. So remember, headquarters of SCO in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Okay, TU. And the regional anti-terrorist structure is a permanent organ. It's a permanent body of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and its objective is to help member states combat extremism, terrorism, and separatism. The head of RATS is elected for a 3-year term, and all the member states also have their own representative at RATS. Okay, so that's about the RATS, and now let's move on. The second question, consider the following statements. First one, RTGS and NEFT systems are centralized payment systems in India, both owned and operated by Reserve Bank. Second one, the decentralized payment systems include clearing houses managed by RBI such as the check truncation centers. So here we have to choose the correct answer. A 1 only, B 2 only, C both 1 and 2, and D neither 1 nor 2. So here the correct answer is C, both 1 and 2. So RTGS and NEFT both are actually the centralized payment systems belonging to RBI. They are owned and operated by RBI only. So first one is right, and second one is also right because this decentralized payment system, mainly the clearing house, it is managed by the RBI. So the second one is also right. So recently, the Reserve Bank of India has allowed the non-banking payment providers, non-bank payment system providers, to participate in the centralized payment systems like RTGS and NEFT as direct members. So that's why this was in news. So the CPS in India are the CPS matlab. So all these things, all these centralized payment systems are the real-time gross settlement, the National Electronic Fund Transfer Systems. Both of them are operated by the RBI. So RTGS basically stands for real-time gross settlement, and NEFT stands for National Electronic Fund Transfer. This RTGS enable real-time transfer of funds to beneficiary account and is primarily meant for large value transactions. So real value transaction means at that moment only the transactions will happen. So the transaction time, the real time between the transaction time will be very less under the RTGS. Next, coming to NEFT, if you see the National Electronic Fund Transfer, it is a system in which the transactions received up to a particular time are processed in batches. So the transaction will take certain time. Okay, so first a transaction takes place now. It might be processed within 2 hours. After that, for the processing of next transaction, it might take another 2 hours. So there is a time lag. Okay, so that is the thing with the NEFT. And generally, it is used for fund transfer up to 2 lakhs. The NEFT is used for fund transfer up to 2 lakhs. And the decentralized payment system include clearinghouse managed by RBI, which is the it is the check truncation system, as well as other banks, the express check clearing system, and any other system decided by the RBI from time to time. Now let's see the third question. Consider the following pairs. GI tagged sarees and the places are given. First one, Hapsapuri saree. Second one, Pitani saree. Third one, Kutumpulli saree. And the states given are Karnataka, Maharashtra, Kerala. So here we have to match the following. And if you see here, B, 2 and 3 is the correct answer. The Pitani sarees belong to Maharashtra, whereas the Kutumpulli sarees belong to Kerala. Recently, the national award-winning weaver B. Krishnamurthy has created a repository with samples of all designs, patterns and motifs traditional to Kanjivaram saree weaving, preserving the fine pieces for the next generation. So that's why this was in news. So if you see, important sarees belong to different states. Tamil Nadu, if you see, Kadangani saree, the Thirubuvan saree, the Kovai Kora cotton sarees, they are very famous for Tamil Nadu. And Uttar Pradesh, if you see, the Banaras sarees, they belong to Uttar Pradesh, the Banaras brocade. In the Karnataka, if you see, the Ikal saree and Mola Kalmuru saree. Okay, they both belong to Karnataka. And Andhra, if you see, Uppada sarees, Venkatagiri sarees and Mangalgiri sarees, they belong to Andhra Pradesh. And Kerala, if you see, Balrampuram sarees, Kasurgad sarees and Kutumpulli sarees. And when we go to Telangana, it is Gadwal saree and Pochampalli saree. And in Madhya Pradesh, if you see, the Chanderi saree and Maheshwar sarees. And Odisha, if you see, you have Odisha Ikat, Bomkai saree, the Hapsipuri saree. And West Bengal, it is Santipur saree, Balucheri saree and Denkali saree. And when we go to Maharashtra, it is Pitani saree and fabrics, the Karwat Khati sarees and fabrics. And if you see Chhattisgarh, it is Champa saree. And in Gujarat, it is Surat Zari craft and Potla sarees. Right? Okay, so these are the important regions and the sarees belonging to them. Now let's look at the fourth question. Consider the following statements. First one, the ecological footprint is a metric that is comprehensively compares human demand on nature against nature's capacity to regenerate. Okay. The second one, if you see, both the ecological footprint and biocapacity are expressed in global hectares. So here we have to choose the correct answer. So first statement, if you see the ecological footprint, it is a metric that comprehensively measures the human impact on nature. So the first statement is right. Second statement, if you see, both the ecological footprint and biocapacity are expressed in global hectares. So C, both 1 and 2 is the correct answer. So according to the World Wildlife Fund for Nature, humanity has again used up all biological resources that our planet regenerates during the entire year by 29th July. Okay, so this 29th July is called as Earth Overshoot Day. That means we have already utilized all the resources that are produced for this year. We have utilized by 29th July only. So the rest of the year, what we are going to utilize is we are overburdening the nature. That is what is this Earth Overshoot Day means. So this Earth Overshoot Day is hosted and calculated by Global Footprint Network, an international research organization that provides decision makers with a menu of tools to help the human economy operate within the Earth ecological limits. And this Earth Overshoot Day, if you see, it is basically the Earth's biocapacity by humans' ecological footprint into 365, which is called the Earth Overshoot Day. And the ecological footprint basically, it uses the 6 categories of productive surface areas like cropland, grazing land, fishing ground, build-up land, forest area and carbon demand on land. So both this ecological footprint and biocapacity are expressed in global hectares. Okay, so this is all the information about ecological footprint. Now let's look at the fifth question. Which of the following countries of Southwest Asia does not open to the Mediterranean Sea? A. Syria, B. Jordan, C. Lebanon, and D. Israel. So here we have to choose the correct answer. So Mediterranean Sea, if you see, this is the map of Mediterranean Sea, and these are the countries which are surrounding Mediterranean Sea. So the important thing for us to remember is the countries which are surrounding Mediterranean Sea belonging to Africa and the countries belong to Asia. So these are the things which we can easily remember. So the African countries, if you see how to remember them, there is this technique called METAL, METAL, METAL. So M stands for Morocco, E stands for Egypt, okay, T stands for Tunisia, A stands for Algeria, and L stands for Libya. So these are the African countries which are surrounding Mediterranean Sea. And now if you see Asian countries, so Asian countries also surround the Mediterranean Sea. What are those countries? They are Syria, Israel. So here you can say Israel, Lebanon, Cyprus, Syria, and Turkey. So these are the countries. Okay. So we have to remember all of these things. Okay, you have to remember so which country surrounds and all. And for Asian countries specifically, there is another trick you can remember like this called C list. Yeah, this is another trick for remembering Asian countries which surround the Mediterranean Sea. C stands for Cyprus and L stands for Lebanon, Israel, Syria, and Turkey. Okay, so if you see by this logic, the Southwest Asian countries that do not open to Mediterranean Sea, which do not open, go by this logic. C list. C for Cyprus. Cyprus is there? No, it's not there. L for Lebanon. So option C can be eliminated. I for Israel. Option D can be eliminated. So okay. S for Syria. A can be eliminated, and the only option left is B, Jordan. So Jordan is the correct answer. Okay. Now let's look at the question of the day. But before that, yeah, this is the explanation. You can just go through it once. Okay. Now let's look at the question of the day. Which one of the following had drafted the Hindu Widow Remarriage Act? A. Lord Canning, B. Lord Hardinge, C. Lord Dalhousie, and D. None of these. Here you have to choose the correct answer and give your answer in the comment box. Tomorrow we will be discussing this question. Okay. And guys, these are our initiatives: the Vision Prelims Test Series Summary, Vision Mains Test Series Summary, Vision PT 365 Summary, and Vision Monthly Magazine Summaries. So make the best use of these summaries to gain advantage in the exams. Okay. You can visit our Telegram channel to get these details. If you have any doubt, you can just ask us in the comments as well. That's it guys for the day. I'll see you again tomorrow with 5 more MCQs. Till then, keep studying and stay tuned. Jai Hind.